May I start? Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we will listen to the presentation of Professor Saygin Abdikan. Dr. Abdikan is a researcher and lecturer in Geometric Engineering Department of Hacettepe University in Ankara, Turkey. He has experience in SAR interferometry, deformation monitoring and crop monitoring using multi-frequency and multi-polarimetric SAR and optical data. Dr. Abdikan played a role in establishing the ISPRS Student Consortium in 2005 and was on the organizing committee of the first ISPRS summer school. He was secretary of the ISPRS Commission 3 Working Group 3-2 on microwave remote sensing between 2016 and 2022. Since 2022, he has been supporting ISPRS Commission 3 Working Group 3-3, active microwave remote sensing. And today he will be presenting us analysis of crop dynamics using SAR-based vegetation monitoring. Please, Saygin, it's your turn.
Thank you for the introduction. We can. I don't see the screen now. Yes. Yes, thanks. Yes, the crops are the main source for the food, and the need for food is increasing due to the increase of the population and also the environmental changes and the economic conflicts. And these are also putting some stress on the food supply. And one of the sustainable development goals focuses on the zero hunger, and which is aiming to make the productivity more sustainable, to increase it, and to adapt them to the several hazards. And the Earth observation satellites and sensors are providing us systematic monitoring of the croplands. And with this, we can also monitor the vegetation parameters such as crop height, phenology, and their growing stages. Next, please. And when we check the latest report of Food Agriculture Organization, we can see that the most produced commodities are the crops among the other products. And here we see that the sugarcane, maize, rice, and wheat crops are dominating among the other crops. And we are using mostly the optical systems. We can continue with the next slide. And we use optical system for the monitoring, but the advantage of the radar is a complementary to the optical system that providing different information, and with different waves they can penetrate through the crops and vegetation, and also on the other hand they provide weather independent images when it fails, as here we can see the cloudy days. And also, in addition to backscatter, we can have the phase information, which is mostly used for deformation analysis, such as earthquake or subsidence, but also in the vegetation applications, we are using interferometric SAR technique and the products. The objects are interacting differently in different sensors. When we compare the passive active parts, the passive case, the energy is reflected depending on the chlorophyll and the water content of the leaves. And on the other hand, the backscattered energy depending on size, shape, orientation, and directive properties of the sensor type and the objects. And in the when we check the backscattering, there are several scattering types. That the surface scattering can vary depending on the roughness, the electric constant, and volumetric scattering more occur in the vegetation and the forest types in order of the wavelength that can penetrate from top to the inside of the vegetation. And here are the surface parameters, and also what we are measuring here. The reflectivity is a function of geometric position of the targets, and the backscattered energy is measured with the parameters of frequency, polarimetry, roughness, and incidence parameters of the sensor types. Here is an example we can see. For the rice canopy, that the backscatter can be from the top of the vegetation, or it can be a combination of ground and vegetation. For the next. And with SAR images, as a single SAR data can be informative, but for the crop types, we are using more temporal data sets. And on the other hand, another method is the SAR interferometry, which is using the phase difference of at least two SAR data to get to extract the high information. And differential SAR interferometry is sensitive to the deformation. So if the surface changes, then this can be extracted at line of sight direction. Polarimetry is sensitive to the geometric characterization. Then we also need at least two, 3 or 4 polarimetry, and which is used for the classification applications and also the vegetation monitoring studies. And also here, interferometry can be involved, the polarimetric SAR interferometry, which is most used for the volumetric properties. And for each of these study methods or approaches, that multi-temporal SAR is used to understand the temporal behavior of the crop types in space and also in time, in addition to backscatter and the polarimetric features. And mostly the satellite systems have single frequency, and if we have multi-frequency, then we can get a different way of interaction of frequency with the target, and we can have more information. Next, please. So here we can see an example how the backscatter appears, that from black to white, the objects are backscattered differently. Mostly the man-made objects are backscattered more, and they appear bright. On the other hand, smooth surfaces are more dark. And among these, depending on the roughness and the properties that I mentioned, can see where the vegetation, short or long vegetation types and culture are located. And next, and here we can see an example of a cropland, and there are also white parcels, pixels. However, they are not man-made structures. And depending on the crop type, phenology, moisture, roughness, and also with the parameters of the SAR sensors, the backscatter can be high to the sensor, and then we can make interpretation of the ground, soil, and also the crop information. Next, please. And the previous one, the backscatter of the vertical, and here combination of different polarimetry, we can create pseudo color images, and that can be a bit more easier because each polarimetry is going to behave differently, and the crop types can be identified easier. Next. And here we can see the difference of polarimetry and also the wavelength. Next, please. And here we can see the difference between vertical, and horizontal. If you continue next, we can see the differences. One more, please. So here, some objects are much brighter in vertical, and the other case, but it is not easy to differentiate where the yellow polygon is shown. Two different fields with a border we can see in HH polarimetry in both X and C bands. Next, please. And also the resolution play a role. Here we can see the same polarimetry, different wavelength, but the resolutions are also different here. The times are very close to each other. With the high resolution that we can see the borders a bit more easier, and if the fields are very small, it can be much easier to identify them from the nearby fields. Next. And here for the same region, we have a field work, and here we can see the multitemporal SAR data with a single polarimetry. But if we combine these three as a pseudo color, that we can also see the easier some fields from each other, and the shape of the phase crop length a bit more each other, because in each date each crop is interacting differently with the polarimetry. The next. And if we have multitemporal and multipolarimetric data, that means we have more feature, and then each crop will behave differently in each polarimetry and time, and that's enrich our database, and then we can work on it more easy to their crops behavior in different time period to understand their growth stages. Next. So the targets are interacts differently. The point-based objects, which are most of the man-made structures like the buildings, they are more do not change in space or time, which are coherent. On the other hand, distributed targets like crops and forests, these are incoherent, and they are the electromagnetic field, they are varying in space and time, and they are more complex compared to the point-based targets. So here, next please. The compositions are also used to analyze the surfaces. They allow the separation of different scattering contributions. And so here is an example for the coherent approach called scattering, which is using the scattering matrix. And here, then at the end, we are having three surfaces, as the SAR is sensitive to geometry. At the end, we can have single bonds scattering surfaces, double bonds, and also the volume scattering if we have this four polarimetric information. Next. Here is an example for the same region again, and we have the each polarimetric, the composition, single, double polarimetric, at the end of an RGB pseudo color that can represent us which surfaces are more volumetric and which are more single bonds surfaces, for example. Next, please. Next. Yes, this region, we worked on this region in several studies. One of them is the multitemporal Sentinel-1 parameters crop eye canopy cover. So I'm going to summary here the crop eye study. The region is in central Turkey. It is mostly arid to semi-arid weather conditions. It's a cropland region, very flat region, and most of the crops are not irrigated. They are naturally dry agriculture applications are continuing in this region. Next. So here are the representation of the different land use types along the region. So we have three crop types here. Next, please. These are maize, sunflower, and wheat crops. And here we can see the some photographs during the field works. And we visited 4 times, and during these 4 times, we get the Sentinel-1 data in single orbit. And during the leaf development, stem elongation, heading, flowering, harvesting periods of these plants we visited. In the calendar, we can see also in the photos, the wheat has an early calendar compared to the other 2 crop types. And next. So here is the pre-processing steps, the applied procedure for the images. We applied the basic pre-processing steps and get the polarimetric intensity information. In addition to that, we applied an incoherent approach, Claude-Pothier decomposition here. Entropy, alpha, and azeotropy decompositions are calculated from the covariance matrix. And also we added some ratio of the 2 polarimetry. We can continue next, please. One more. And also applied the radar vegetation index, which is originally based on the full polarimetric data, but as the Sentinel-1 has 2 polarimetry, it is adapted, and the last acquisition is used for this study. And the next. As for the district crops, we in different fields, we collected crop height, measuring them. And for each field, we collected 5 randomly crop height and take average of them and check the relationship between the SAR parameters and the crop height. And when we check the distribution, we noticed we can use a threshold depending on the high, the growing levels for each crop type. And if, for example, here, if the crop height is lower than 150 centimeter, we're having a high coefficient of determination with both VH and VB polarimetry. And if they are combined together, it is providing slightly higher. And on the other hand, if the heights are higher in this threshold, then the correlations are lower. So for the other crops also, we follow the same procedure. Next. So when we get the results, we see that in some stages, if they are included, then the correlations are, we can find some correlations between the crop type and the SAR parameters. And the strongly correlated one is when these 2 polarimetry are added together and used. And however, sunflower high has very low correlation in all SAR parameters. And so the sensitivity of SAR to wheat variables is also low compared to the others. And the here, just the limitation is the single orbit was analyzed, and also an annual study is completed, and also considering the resolution, it was difficult to find proper samples that are distributed nearby to do each other. And next. And the other technique that I mentioned is the synthetic aperture radar interferometry, which use at least 2 images, and in this way we can get the phase difference that can be acquired in a single pathway. Here the sensor should have 2 sensors and acquire at the same time, or there should be 2 identical sensors. They are providing the data at the same time. And the other way is the repeat pass in the single satellite or sensor is providing the data over the same region in different times. That we are using satellite images in this way. And here, of course, between the 2 passages, time 1 and time 2, there should be enough correlation among these 2 data sets, because the coherence image that is created with the phase differences is going to be used for the analysis. The next, please. Over the same region, and next. For the same region, we extended our study, including 3 more orbits, and here, in addition to backscatter, we added the coherence data sets to understand their behavior and how coherence can contribute for the monitoring. Next slide. And here we used 4 tracks, and they have these are 2 ascending, 2 descending, and just one of them has a different incidence angle, and they are all have the similar resolution. We resampled them. The next slide. And here the backscattering images are conducted in the same way. We used single complex data, and for the phase information and coherence maps, we applied this procedure. They're co-registered to each other, and in addition to that, the interprograms are created, and the coherence maps and backscatter values for each polarimetry are calculated. Next. So here we can see a network of the pairs, and baseline configuration, geometric baseline, and also the temporal baseline. We can see as we want to monitor the crops, we use the baseline between the consecutive images, which is represented as bold lines. So these pairs are used to create the coherence information. The next. So coherence is basically the cross-correlation index that is calculated between 2 images, and this actually is showing how the second image is changing relative to the first one. If the coherence is high, then we can assume that the information is not changing. And if the coherence is lower, then we are going to a darker image, and the values are also going to be lower, which means there is a decorrelation between the images and there's a change. The next, please. So here from the again, for the 3 same crop types, from early stages from the planting to the harvesting period, we get the information. For each field, the mean values are calculated for each crop, and the coherence backscatter values are represented. This table is showing only the vertical, and results. So when we check the values, we can see the coherence are in the middle, like 0.49, 47, and then they are declining. And after a while, it starts to increase again. And during the harvesting or post-harvesting period, they are having the maximum coherence values. Next slide. That we can see in a graphically a bit more easy to interpret. So here also, I showed for the maize crop. We can also compare the VV and VH polarimetry. And as we can see, the VV has behaving in a different way than the VH, which is more looks stable even during the sowing and leaf development period. And below is the backscatter values for VV and VH again. And here also we can see VV looks a bit more stable compared to the VH. And for each ascending and descending, we also compared these two orbit results. And we noticed that descending results providing higher values compared to the ascending in also other two crop types. The next, please. And also we want to see how we can separate the stages from each other. We applied some thresholds for each crop and using the coherence and backscatter values. So some thresholds are noticed to discriminate these 5 basic stages for each crop type. The next. So here are the results. Before the planting and after the seeding, the coherence values are higher, but there's a sharp decrease during the growing season when they are more green and high. But then there's a decrease during the period of the harvesting time. And compared to the ascending and descending, as I mentioned, the descending provided a bit higher values in both coherence and backscatter. And the next slide, yes, in the comparison is that the vertical is better, the higher values compared to the cross polarization. And the other studies also about crop high, but here we applied different methods to make some estimation over the sunflower. In this study, we also included Sentinel-2 data to check its contribution. And next, please. And this is also in the center north of Turkey, the study region. And 4 main phenology, we visited the fields and collected from each parcel again 5 samples, and their mean value is used for the further analysis. And for the coherence extraction, we used the 6-day difference data to create the coherence. This is covering our fieldwork dates. Next. And so here we can see the distribution of the values. And here also the VV polarization is higher backscatter in both orbits, ascending and descending. And in VH, we can notice they are the green and blue lines, they are more mixing to each other. However, the other one, there is a separation, especially during the flowering period. And for the coherence vegetation indices, we used NDVI, and NDVI calculated from red age. And they are having an increase during the inflorescence development and also flowering, but decline during the ripening, which is opposite when we check the polarimetric values, coherence values, sorry. And the next, so here we tested different scenarios to see the contribution of different features. So first we check each features individually and applied these 5 methods, and also then we added different combination to see which parameters are providing better results. And the R-square values are noticed the highest one, the 0.95, when we use backscatter and coherence together with XGBoost method. Coherence individually didn't provide high values. However, it has a contribution when we add it to the other features. And the ANN, CNN, and multilinear regression provided high R-square values and low RMSE values. And when they are again combined with the red edge information, and here we notice the potential of red edge NDVI because mostly the NDVI is used in the literature, but here we notice it has a better contribution compared to the NDVI. And we check also the each phenology for this crop high estimation. And I think the lowest percentage is determined in the flowering stages with about 6% RMSE value. Next slide. And here, yeah, I would like to also show a nice study completed by Dr. Hacettepe from Istanbul Technical University. She studied rice crop monitoring using high-resolution terrestrial dynamics data and interferometry INSAR technique she used to drive the high information. If you continue next, then we can see the different periods for the over this region that for each field, then we can see that they're growing, the high information and increasing, and at the end of the harvesting, the values are decreasing. Would you continue? Next. Yes, here we can see different periods for the crop high using the tandemix data, which are acquired during the same day. So the high information can be acquired without any decorrelation. The next, please. For the same region, they also have the backscattering value. If you continue, then we can see also the temporal behavior of the backscatter, and then the backscatter and phase information can be combined to represent a 3-dimensional of the crop behavior. Yes, next please. And we also currently continue a Paderais monitoring project. It is a bilateral study with the Bulgarian Academy of Science. With them, we choose to study a region in Bulgaria and Turkey for the Paderais monitoring, and the aim is to use the open source data to monitor them and to develop a high estimation strategy, combining data sets collected from different locations. And next, please. So there are fields in Turkey and also in Bulgaria to be collected them during the same period, to the same phenology. And here also we took the same strategy, like the average of 5 measurements for each sample. And simultaneously, we acquired Sentinel-1 data and Sentinel-2 data if there is no cloud, of course. However, in some, I think one field work is, there are a few days between Sentinel-2 and field work. Next slide, we can see there's some images from the field work, the phenology, the stem elongation and flowering. They are common in these two field works, and also in Turkey we collected data during the ripening, filling, and also the end of the ripening periods. Next slide. So here, in addition to the backscatter values, we used the radar vegetation indices and NDVI. So here we can see especially in the August period, for example, the NDVI looks more stable, but the high-end radar vegetation indices, they are more close to each other. And we can see here the behavior of radar vegetation indices also in parallel with the crop high values. The next slide. During the methodology, so we collected data temporally, and in total we have about 160 samples. But here we used the data collected in Turkey just for the training, and the data collected in Bulgaria just for testing, so we didn't mix them and randomly choosing. And in the results, we can see the next slides. And here are the correlation coefficients, and we can see the combination of radar vegetation and NDVI has high correlation compared to the other variables. And NDVI individually is not very high, but radar vegetation is individually also quite high. And compared to the polarimetry, here also vertical provided good results. But if we add NDVI to the other features, then we can see an improvement in the correlations. The next slide. And in the estimation results, we can see the single polarimetry vertical showed the lowest RMSE, about 14 centimeter. And after that coming the when vertical is combined with NDVI. And the combination of these also showed a lower estimation results. Of course, the reason for this can be the nature of the data and the modeling processing, and even the single polarimetry here is straightforward to capture the model and reducing error and providing a good correlation. But also we had some problems during the field work. With the next slides, we can see the some fieldwork photos. Next slide, please. So during the last field work, there was some lodging and we couldn't collect enough data, and the sample numbers are reduced. But these results are the first year's data, and in the second year we collected new and extended a number of samples for the same region, and currently we prepared a paper and it is under review that we extended also the models and the features included, not just the two indices, and several indices bands are also included to select the most useful SARs features for the high estimation. And we are also going to share when we get the results. And next slide. So in the conclusion, we can see the SAR data offering reliable solutions for monitoring, and it can provide some information for the decision making. We monitor the long term and make some estimations before the harvesting periods that can be useful. And in addition to backscatter, we can see the coherence information is quite valuable for the analysis. Of course, these are not the direct measurement of vertical structures, but there is a relationship between SAR data and the crop height information. And then also we noticed the radar vegetation index has a good relationship between the crop height and SAR information. And also in the literature, we noticed that the radar vegetation is used for estimation of optical images. And in addition to these indices, there are also other several indices and decompositions. And with the latest study, we also showed the potential of combination the data that are collected from different countries. So in our latest study, which is still under review, we didn't separate it, test and training as a country, but we mixed them all together and continued our study. And the combinations are optical also showed a contribution to us. And also we would like to continue to estimate using this relationship with optical and SAR data to estimate optical data or indices using SAR images, because even we have short-term optical data sets in some periods, even some summer times that we can see cloudy, rainy days. So our next studies are going to focus on this direction. And next. Yes, thank you. And from the link, you can see our other studies and details of the projects are going on. If you have questions, I can answer, and you can write also.
Thank you very much, Professor Abdikan, for your nice presentation. You have deep experience in crop monitoring using SAR data. And we have some questions. I see 8 questions. If you let me read one by one, maybe you can answer. First question is, can you see also? I will read for
yes, I can
audience.
See.
And okay, what are some specific advantages of SAR over optical remote sensing when it comes to monitoring crop phenology and yield? First question. And
yes, as in the last slide, I also mentioned, even we have wide optical data sets, still it depends on weather. And even in the Mediterranean region, during the summer times, we got that problem actually in the first field. The SAR optical data is limited, and some seasons, some phenology, there are clouds. So if you have a long SAR data, that can be useful to discriminate the phenology and can be used for estimation studies of parameters to vegetations.
yeah, thank you. And the next question is, in your experience, how do polarimetric metrics improve our understanding of crop structure compared to using simple backscatter data?
For the till now we used mostly the Sentinel one, which has dual polarimetry, and the polarimetric. It is about the decomposition or the question.
Simple backscatter versus polarimetric metrics.
The polarimetric metrics are the radar vegetation index, maybe, or the decompositions it's mentioned. I'm not sure. Well, according to my experience, for example, the radar vegetation index or coherence, they are providing a good relationship. But also in the latest study, we noticed vertical individually is also providing here also, not just the crop, but the satellite incidence angle, the direction of the crop, both surface satellite parameters are affecting the way we can check, I think, both of them to choose the best one.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is, what are the main challenges in extracting accurate crop-related metrics like plant height from SAR data, especially in heterogeneous landscapes?
Yeah. One of the reasons I also mentioned that you don't directly measure the height. Actually, here it's there's a relationship between them, and the crops they are mostly they have mostly very similar pie. Actually, they grow if the fields, of course, do not get enough water, or the soil properties are also affecting, and also the applications of the farmers. They are not very mixing, but the resolution can play a role here. So we collected data mostly the center of the fields, and we choose big enough because the Sentinel data has, let's say, 10 by 10 meter resolution. These are the challenging parts to study.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the informative presentation on analysis of crop dynamics using SAR-based vegetation monitoring. I found it very insightful. Could you clarify how you address mixed crop areas when analyzing the SAR data?
Well, yeah, we didn't work on mixed crops actually. Because crops are, in one field mostly they are, maybe the question is about, in some fields there are several crop types are together, but as I mentioned, we choose more homogeneous crop types. So one field there is just wheat, for example. So we work on wheat, didn't mix crop types.
And also in Turkey, mostly the fields are neighboring fields are same type of crops. So that's
especially in our last field work in paddy rice, it is growing in the water, so it's a specific region. The soil type are nearby are same, so that crops are growing in some regions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And we have some more minutes, so I will continue.
Yes.
Thanks. And how do you ensure the reliability and generalizability of machine learning models retained on SAR data for crop yield estimation across different geographies or crop types?
Yeah, this is we are actually currently working on. This is that we are studying with Bulgaria currently. It is, of course, challenging because the geography is different, and the agricultural activities are different. for farmers, they are doing differently, and planting, harvesting periods are different. And for the yield, one of the challenge also became across. They don't do parcel by parcel or field by field, so the truck is coming and collecting all the crop, and the yield information is not very precise, and this is making difficult for field-based yield estimation. Maybe it is more easy to do more region or country-based estimations, but for also considering our result of our study, the field-based is a bit complicated.
And also declaration of the owners are not always correct.
Yeah, that's
another
also
handicap. So your statistics can fail because of their declaration as well. This is one of the other problem, I think.
Yeah, and as there is not so much open data about the field works and the yields, also it's that we're collecting and then we try to communicate with each owners to get correct information.
Thank you very much. We have some more minutes, so I will continue. You have really good questions. And the next question is there any tutorial on ANN, CNN, and MLR on coherence with forestry applications to develop results spatially?
Any tutorials?
Yeah. Any recommendation they ask, I guess.
That I don't know, but there are tutorials in the website of ESA, I think, about coherence calculations, how you can calculate and estimate it for both Sentinel and also other satellite images. And after that, I think you can apply in any kind of any methods.
Okay. And quickly, we have last 3 questions. How do you see the integration of multi-frequency SAR with optical data evolving in the future of precision agriculture?
Yes, for the precision agriculture, it's a bit more, I think, needed a bit higher resolution data sets for the currently there are satellites, but it is not easy to get each frequency, as the Sentinel is one of the open data sets, but as I think the other satellites are coming with the biomass, NISAR, there will be L-band and other bands. As they are going to provide different information, and the crops are going to behave differently to each frequency, I think we are going to add more features, and this is going to be valuable, I think.
Okay, and thank you. And the next question is, what steps would you recommend for national or regional agricultural agencies looking to begin using SAR for crop monitoring at different scale? So,
well, yeah, actually, there is a huge data set now archived. We have Sentinel data, and but I think the knowledge is still limited on SAR data, and as it is a bit black and white, difficult to interpret it compared to the optical data. Actually, it is there are different platforms we can automatize some processing steps and create behavior of different crops. This can be integrated, I think, to their works if they would like to see different crops and how they behave differently. Well, I can suggest some way of this interpretation and way, and but they should be also open to use it and integrate to their system. It's also, I think, difficult. They have their own system, and to integrate a different thing can be difficult in the management part. Possible, but that's still possible.
Yeah. Thanks again. And the question is about the effect of incidence angle on polarimetry and also the height of the crop. Is there any effect? What is the effect of studies?
For incidence angle, we couldn't chance to check, I think, because they are more or less, Sentinel provides a lot of data, but not so much orbits. So in one orbit, we get all the same incidence angle data. We couldn't check it, but there is an effect of the backscatter is going to change because the interaction is going to be different. If we change the incidence angle for the other study, we studied also soil moisture. If you use narrow or wider incidence angle, then it's the relationship between the soil and plants are going to be different. So in the literature, there are some ranges that can be checked for some specific applications, because it is not going to be useful same incidence angle for bare land and plant covered lands.
Okay. Thank you. And
thank you too.
And last questions, maybe we are a bit beyond the time, but does the rise phenology from SAR images you obtained could be applied to another geographic locations? This is our last question.
Well, this is actually, as I mentioned, trying to check, but we couldn't get so long period of phenology. As here we collected just two common phenologies and want to combine them. And we would like to actually extend this study and to apply this approach for a generalization of the methodology to other regions. It might be possible because the general phenology is similar, and just as I mentioned, the applications, the farmers are doing something different. Fertilizing or the water management is different from country to country. Even nearby fields that can change because each farmer has its own experience. Well, it might be possible, I think, but we need some extended data sets to check it.
Okay, thank you very much. And lastly, I think we are at the end of our day. I can let you cover this webinar and finish it. Thank you for all the audience for their attendance. Thank you, Saygin. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much from my side as well. There are a few questions in the chat box as well, but if you want to take, I see two, but up to you.
Sorry, I missed the questions. You can continue. I'm sorry.
No, we're running out of time, but I just want to ask to Professor Saygin if you want.
Yeah, I have time. We can, if it is no problem.
There are just two. So the one is from Asis. It says, has there been any study using SAR imagery on small scale plot? I'm taking something similar like optical remote sensing using UAV derived imagery. So
using
UAV derived imagery, like UAV. Images from drones.
Drones.
Well, actually, In our latest study, again, we collected UAV data also, but still making the processing on it. And after we finish, we are of course planning to publish it. But there are many studies, combination of UAV, and there are, as I mentioned, there are high resolution SAR images also from satellites and UAV images. In the literature, there are several, but from my experience, we just collected our data and continue our processes.
Thank you so much. The next question says, crop growth monitoring can crop growth monitoring be done for brinjal crop? For ground truth monitoring collections, what kind of dates should be collected? Should we take different crop heights for different stages?
I couldn't
Asking
hear
about collecting crop height for different
brinjal
stages.
crop.
Yes,
I think the person, I can't.
different dates.
Stage for different stage.
Yeah. Actually, well, we would like to monitor, of course, the all stages, but it is quite time-consuming, and budget is one of the limits. So we wanted to choose some main stages to see also how they are changing during the growing. Of course, it is possible. Oh, yeah, depending on the if you can go, just we need to check the satellites when they are passing through our region, and parallel to that, data can be collected.
Thank you so much. I think there is just a new question that just came. So will your university accept students from other countries, and any openings right now that we can apply for, especially for masters to work in SAR?
Yes. Yeah, we are accepting students. However, the university doesn't providing budget for that, but they can check. There are several. Maybe they can contact with me. I can give some information about it. They should also follow the conditions of the university for the applications, and it might be.
Yeah.
Yes, that's thank you so much. I would like to thank you, both of you, Professor Füsun and Saygin, for moderating and for presenting it very well. I see that the participants are impressed and they're asking even to come to your university, which is really nice.
Well, thank you.
And then I'm sorry for the technical stuff. I hope I was doing it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so that's all. And next webinar will takes place next month with Professor Füsun itself. So feel free to join us again. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next month.